Hi, I'm Steve Helmbrecht, co-founder and CEO of Treasury4, and I'm really excited to introduce Danny Olds. You may have seen our announcement last week that Danny's joined Treasury4 as our Managing Director of Customer Success. And it's been a real pleasure to get to know Danny over the last couple of years, and his deep experience as both a practitioner in Treasury, having worked in Treasury software and Treasury management systems, and also as a consultant, and really in keeping with our focus at Treasury4 on deep practitioner experience and bringing that to bear in terms of our focus on customer success. So Danny, it's great to have you on board. Welcome to Treasury4.
Thanks, Steve. It's really great to be here. As you kind of highlighted, I've been around for a minute, seen this industry from a variety of different angles. But I do distinctly remember a couple of years ago meeting yourself and Ed and a few others at Treasury Connect. And we've obviously stayed pretty close over the years. I've always sort of watched Treasury4 as something I think that's going to be really special. And so I really couldn't be happier to be part of it. I'm really looking forward to the journey. I can't wait to work with Treasury4 clients.
What's exciting from my perspective, our perspective as a team, is what you bring in terms of your level of experience, your focus on customer success, customer relationships, and really, and also specifically in your work in the private markets and alternatives space, and marrying that up with our longstanding focus on the corporate side, as we see a lot of opportunities really crossing all of those verticals and bringing that together.
Yeah, I think that's a really exciting dimension to all of this. I'd say I've spent the last certainly 15, 16, 17 years, on the alternative investment side, private equity and credit. And, the corporate treasury market is quite a bit better established. By that, I mean, there are more vendors, there's more history to it, where it's a relatively new concept in the private markets or in alternative investments. And so it's a really exciting space to be in. And Treasury4 has been something I've watched, as the product has been designed, developed, and ultimately deployed. It's a perfect fit. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to make a very positive impact.
What I think over the last couple of years, as we've spoken, is a common, thought or feeling that as we think about Treasury and cash, that it's important, increasingly important to be focused on cash as data. Just the movement of data, the capturing that kind of information and bringing that back to bear in terms of value, whether that's a corporate or on the private side, private equity or fund administration, and how important that is, as well as what we've seen over the last few years with increasing interest rates. That cash is an earning asset class, again, crossing any vertical, is the importance of understanding and managing that. And also, I would say too, Danny, that your focus on systems of the focus on Treasury operations in terms of execution, and as we continue to build out our capabilities in a core Treasury management system, but now as we moved into payments and system of execution, I think it really bring to bear a lot of perspective and understanding of how all those themes tie together.
Yeah, I appreciate that and agree. It's going back to kind of my history of watching Treasury4 develop. I remember one of the first things I was impressed by was just, this is a system I'd like to use. It's done nothing but continue to impress me along those lines. Where there really is a differentiator, and I think it gets a lot into what you were just saying, Steve, is Treasury4's AI strategy. It is so integral and integrated into the product itself. Whereas I look at some others out there, and sometimes it looks like a little bit more of an afterthought. Sometimes maybe they just didn't make that a focus at the outset, which obviously they didn't. These platforms are mature; they've been around for a while, so they did have to re-engineer things. But Treasury4, it was definitely built into it. When I look at just the art of the possible in today's world, with the way that Treasury4 has deployed AI within the product, both as a service inside of the TMS and using tools like Claude outside of it, is mind-blowing. I think that you could lose sleep over just sitting around contemplating all of the different ways you could use it. And what's really exciting to me is Treasury4 has done it, deployed it. It's out there with some clients who are definitely first movers along those lines. And they're doing some really incredible stuff with the systems. So gone are the days of, geez, I don't know how to put together a cash forecast. Now it's, you can ask the system and kind of as many different questions as you can dream up. and have it running down the answers for you. You can do it in real time. You can have it scheduled as a service. But ultimately, I think that's really the game changer. And I'm not a betting man. If I was, I would say that's going to be one of 3 or 4 core reasons why Treasury4 is going to do really well. One of the big reasons I wanted to be here. It's truly remarkable and groundbreaking what you guys have done.
One area that we talked about, Danny, is again the commonality. Let's say, even though the definitions might be a bit different, is on the corporate side, whether that's corporate treasury or you see on fund operations, on the privates and the alt side, is just the role itself is that tends to be a fairly small group. It's lean. They don't have a lot of excess resources, and they need to move quickly, and they want outside assistance to be able to help implement the system. And I'm curious your thoughts about time to value, rapid time to value, the ability to implement a solution as effectively, but also as quickly as possible to be able to bring those tools to bear. And could you share your thoughts about that as well? We've talked about it.
There are a couple of things to unpack in there. First and foremost is, treasury is treasury is treasury. Most of the concepts are kind of the same. When you start looking into, the private markets, it's very similar. They just speak a different language. They have different systems and GLs supporting the back office, and certain things are more important than corporate treasury in certain areas and less important in others. I'll give you an example: bank fee analysis, not that big of a deal for most of those firms because they don't carry a lot of idle cash and they don't have a lot of fees. And so, but then on the other hand, you've got distributions, capital calls, and things that just is a different way of doing certain treasury work, but it's different. You describe it differently. It is slightly different, but ultimately it's kind of the same exercise. Addressing the second part of your question, and this, is something I'm watching, kind of almost surprised at how good we are at it. It's an industry that I've seen where, time to value, implementation times, things like that could be measured in more of the 6 to 12 month zone and longer. It really kind of just depending upon complexity, number of banks you've got to connect up to, things like that. But I thought people were kidding me when they said that you were getting clients up and running, live with bank information coming in inside of a week. It's true. All of these APIs and the good development strategy that was used, the forethought to it, kind of different ways to pivot the way the underlying platform was built really lends itself to quick implementation times. And so in the short time I've already been here, I've already seen implementations that have kicked off and are, feel like they're half done already. But certainly from my experience, Treasury4's implementation time is going to be, it seems significantly faster.
I think that's a testament not only to the technical side of the integrations we work on with banks and with counterparties, money market funds, et cetera, but also longstanding relationships. Ed Berry, co-founder, and Nathan Brown and George Zinn, our president, and you as well have had long history working with counterparties. And I think it just builds on that importance of having longstanding relationships, and that Treasury4 is very pro bank, pro working with the third parties and building strong relationships. We believe that they have made strong and longstanding investments in technology. And what we are doing is helping the customers have a technology platform that leverages that data and helps make that not only faster, but also take advantage of the richness of that data that's now available.
It's funny, I had this observation myself, and as recently probably as an hour ago, I was in a meeting where somebody described a bunch of people at Treasury4 as recovering treasury practitioners. You have no idea how big that is. I've seen a lot of different software vendors. I've seen vendors in the treasury side and outside, and it's amazing to me sometimes how few people there are there in the decision seats who haven't sat in the seat. You know what I mean? Who haven't done the job, and it really stands out when I look around our firm at some of the expertise floating around here. I kind of walked in thinking I knew what I was doing here, but there's a lot of intellectual power sitting around in those meetings, and the power of recovering treasury professionals is probably a big differentiator for Treasury4, my guess. It shows.
Danny, when you think about the term customer success, that can mean a lot of different things to different people, and you're coming in as the managing director of customer success at Treasury4. What do you think about in terms of that definition of customer success, and how do you define that and measure that?
Yeah, I guess since I've been a customer in my life, I just I selfishly treat it as if what I want. How would I want my partner, in this space to work with me and engage? And first and foremost, I would like a partner who implements their system somewhere between white glove and not just checking the box. So in other words, people who come in and partner with me to say, okay, how does your business work actually, right? Like rather than just check the boxes and implement things like for like for like, take the time to sort of get in, lock arms a little bit, get under the hood and figure out how to implement it. Because in many cases, there are 2 or 3 different ways you could implement something. And it makes sense to pick the right one because once it's in, it's probably in for a while and you're going to have to live with it. So, you know, my philosophy is to really kind of get in and get to know clients. So I would really prefer us to be as involved as possible during the sales cycle so that we get to know them. You know, we get to know what they want implemented so that we can give them a truly differentiated experience. And then I think once we have them implemented, obviously, the idea is to be very, open and available during implementation. You know, what we do well, what we don't do well, and what we can put on a roadmap to do better in the future. But it's just sort of the ongoing. You know, this product, especially Treasury4, has moved so much in the last couple of years. Imagine if somebody isn't staying in touch with our clients to make sure that they understand what we're doing now, what's different, what's changing. And ultimately having great relationships with clients is how we stay in business. And so I see it personally, selfishly, as kind of one of the most important roles at our firm, and something that, we're going to strive to do really, really well at.
That's great. I think it fits well to our view and understanding that treasurers and treasury teams out there making decisions around a new system are making important decision. Often this is the largest tech decision that they actually have agency over, and they want to find not only the right technology, the right partner to work with, and that's our goal at Treasury4 to help to ensure that they made a great decision and that we're there for them, not only through the sales process and the implementation, but on an ongoing basis, and really treating our customers as partners. We are benefiting so much from our early customers and the insights, their input, and what that has done for us to be able to work with a large number of institutions or counterparties from an integrations perspective to build out the portfolio and continue to build out the way we're doing. So I think it just comes across loud and clear that we highly value our customers and want to continue that. And having you on board as Managing Director of Customer Success, I know will help continue to drive that focus we have. So I just want to say thank you and welcome aboard.
Thanks very much, Steve. I appreciate it. I appreciate the trust you placed in me, and I hope I do a good job for Treasury4 and all of its clients. I'm really looking forward to it.